We are arriving in Copenhagen, and I have to admit, for all my travel experience, a tinge of excitement, as it's one of those places I've always wanted to visit. My son Nate is with me, and we're making our way to the Airbnb that we've already booked, about 10 minutes by train from the airport and 2 minutes from the train station, in the second highest building in town. We were soon enjoying our first glimpse of wonderful Copenhagen as the sun set. We rented a whole apartment that was fantastic. Our hosts, helpful, friendly, and generous. The place, clean and beautiful, afforded 180-degree views over the city to the west, the airport to the south, and Malmö in Sweden to the east. The next day, after a great breakfast, we made our way into this wonderful city. Denmark is a super efficient European city, and what I really liked as a filmmaker was to be able to sit in the front or sometimes the back of the train and get great shots. We emerged into the sunshine in the center of the city, wanting to visit the scenic Nyhavn. The plan being first to enjoy a coffee in Kongens Nytorv, King's Square. Nate was soon finding the best coffee.
Yeah, getting an espresso. Dad's getting a latte. We're sitting here in the King's Square. Unfortunately, it's being renovated right now, but it's still pretty.
Pretty it was. Even had one of the renowned green spires. A very nice place to sit in the sunshine. Nyhavn in the background, and view the historical buildings, not least the Hotel d'Angleterre, the most prestigious and elegant hotel in the city, reminding us of home. So we chatted in the sunshine and took some shots.
In the middle of Copenhagen, and on a sunny day, the people are friendly and there are so many things to see, but really a beautiful place.
After coffee, we made our way to Nyhavn, where, in times past, ships docked from all over the world. Nowadays, the beautiful old buildings have been renovated, and upmarket restaurants abound in the old port, now the tourist's favorite destination. It's filled with people enjoying the scenic views by the canal and good food. Our plan was to take the canal boat trip, which did the rounds of the canals and even out into the bay. We bought our tickets and climbed aboard the open boat. Trips like this, be it by boat or by open-top bus, allow us to get a quick view of the city so that we can later return to some of the places and explore in more depth. A kind of overview. To the right of number 7 is number 9, the oldest house in Nyhavn, dating back to 1681. The design of the house has not been altered since that time, and had noticeably been copied by most of the buildings. Many of the houses along the quays of Nyhavn have been the homes of prominent artists, the most famous being the Danish fairy tale writer Hans Christian Andersen. This is where he wrote a number of the fairy tales. He was indeed a writer with great insight, not only as he explored the depths of the human psyche to help children understand life and how to live it, but also to exhort us all to be better citizens of our world. I'm passing his house right now. The trip takes an hour and passes under 14 bridges, some built 250 years ago. The first place we go is out into the open ocean, actually the Andersen, the strait that separates it from Sweden. Copenhagen is a mixture of ancient and modern, and the first modern building we pass is the Royal Danish Playhouse. Almost opposite is the Copenhagen Opera House, finished and dedicated in 2005 and costing over $500 million. Believe it or not, the Denmark leg of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series takes place here when contestants dive from the top of the cantilever into the water 27 meters below. Coming up is the royal yacht, Dannebrogen, named after the Danish flag, the royal quarters being at the rear. It's also a popular stopping off point for cruise ships. Our first destination was the legendary Little Mermaid, sitting on her rock and being photographed by the tourists. Then we returned to the city centre, passing some interesting places, even a replica of Michelangelo's David. Our next venue being Copenhagen's famous canals. Copenhagen was founded as a fishing village in the 10th century and later became the capital of the Union of Denmark-Norway in the early 15th century, a union that lasted until 1814. It's certainly come a long way since then. This is really a great way to see the city, and if time here is limited, it enables the visitor to have a quick look around. Another advantage is that one is able to sit and watch, and people who might find it difficult to walk 10 miles a day can enjoy the city in relative comfort. the city of green spires, Hans Christian Andersen country, capital of Denmark, coffee shops and cafes in abundance, great shopping, the best restaurants in Scandinavia, and as you can see, everybody has fun.
I like boats, so this is a lot of fun to go out in the ocean first and then come down here down the canals and get some close-up looks at Copenhagen.
I was reminded by Mr. Andersen that to move, to breathe, to fly, to float, to gain all while you give, to roam the roads of lands remote, to travel is to live. In fact, he wrote that life itself is the most wonderful fairy tale. That's the National Library, known as the Black Diamond, and built in 1999. The guides on the boats are excellent, pointing out the places of interest, giving interesting facts and stories. As one slowly moves through the canals, there's an abundance of interesting, even fascinating sights. We're now in the Frederiksholms Canal, and to our right is the Christiansborg Palace grounds. This is the seat of the Danish Parliament, the Danish Prime Minister's office, and the Danish Supreme Court. Several parts of the palace are used by the monarchy, including the royal reception rooms. The palace is thus the house of Denmark's three supreme powers: the executive power, the legislative power, and the judicial power. It's the only building in the world which is the home of all a nation's three supreme powers. This is the stock exchange. It's easily recognized by its 56-meter dragon spire, comprising the tails of 4 dragons entwined. It's right next to the palace. That's the famous Standard Jazz Club, dating back to 1937 at the entrance to Nyhavn, as we return after a very enjoyable excursion and introduction to Copenhagen. We then decided to explore the city. Plenty of interesting things to see, al fresco dining in many of the squares, and certainly the city has a character all of its own. Fountains, pedestrian precincts, tourists enjoying a horse and carriage ride. They even had churros. Believe it or not, the last time I had a churro was in Mexico City in 1972. The shopping was great. Not that it was particularly cheap, but interesting. The characteristic green spires were never far away. Now we had been given advice on the best places to eat local food, and feeling a little peckish, we followed the directions we'd been given to the Kobenhavn cafe, apparently one of the best. Nate had read all the reviews and was happy with it.
So we are trying the Danish food. Looks good.
I got pork hash with beetroot, rye bread, and eggs.
I had fried fish, shrimp, mayonnaise, and rye bread. And as you can see, we thoroughly enjoyed it. In a very authentic setting, a real treat. We decided to come back. Then more exploring. Though the forecast rain had finally arrived. We therefore decided to visit the Round Tower. $5 admission, including Wi-Fi. And I never expected to see what I was about to see. A fascinating place. It's actually an astronomical observatory that is attached to Trinity Church next door, and one can even look down on it from the tower. Built between 1635 and 1642, it actually has an equestrian staircase, being a wide corridor leading to the top, up which one could ride a horse. Apparently Peter the Great did it. There's even a toilet on the way up, known at that time as a privy. In England, some people still call it the privy. So the main purpose of the tower was to enable people to get to the top. At the top is a medieval observatory, still containing many ancient astronomical contraptions. And a few not so ancient ones. This telescope is what is used today. Around the observatory at the top is the viewing platform. Trinity Church, thus, as I see it, indeed allows the observer a trinity of views, whereby we perceive God from the church, the stars from the observatory, and the city from the roof. I have to say, this skyline is still one of the most beautiful in Europe. We were planning to try to visit all the best coffee shops in town, mainly because we both like good coffee.
Plenty of good restaurants, plenty of great places for a cup of coffee.
Then back out into the rain. I like rain, but I like to watch it from a distance. 1 hour later, and not only has the rain stopped, it's dry, and we're back in Nyhavn, watching the world go by, and looking for a place for dinner, feeling a little tired, certainly ready for a relaxing meal, though it does tend to get a little cool in the evenings. Just need to first research the venues. Decision made, buffet meal. Then enjoy the evening in this historic place. A beautiful old town, canals and waterways, and of course that amazing round tower. Copenhagen is a blend of old world and new. We strolled the city and took in its laid-back atmosphere and strong sense of history. We walked it and lived it, and that was just the first day. There's a big debate on how we say Copenhagen. I believe the Danish say Kobenhavn, but obviously when they translate into English, they say Copenhagen.
This train terminates at Nyhavn, Copenhagen Airport.